Welcome students. In last class we discussed bleeding and segregations of the concrete and also discussed the processes of manufacturing of the concrete. Okay. In bleeding and segregation we discuss what are the causes and how to control the bleeding and segregation of the concrete discussed. Okay. Next we discussed about the process of the manufacturing. Okay. The various stages of the manufacturing of the concrete that we discussed about the batching and mixing. The various processes are batching, mixing, transporting, placing, compacting, curing, and finishing details. Okay. We discussed about the batching. Batching is nothing but a measurement of the concrete ingredients. Okay, this can be done either two types. One is by volume or by weight batching. Volume batching is done it for a less important or a unimportant parts or a small job of the work. Okay, the ingredients are taken by volume. It's the volume it is. Okay, this one we are calling it as a gauge box. This one is made up of either timber or a steel. The volume of this one is adjusted such that it's the volume of one bag of this cement. You need to take the coarse aggregate and a fine aggregate. Okay. The volume of one bag of cement is approximately around 35 liters. Based on that, you need to take a fine aggregate and coarse aggregate by using this gauge boxes. It is okay. Next, come to weigh batching. Weigh batching, it's the correct method for measuring the materials. Okay, this can be done with the equipment that is manually or automatically. Automatically, either it may be semi-automatic or fully automatic. In manual batching, weighing and batching of the concrete is done by manually or and it is used for a small jobs. Semi-automatic and fully automatic is done or batching of the material are electrically activated by a single switches. Just operating one or two switches, you can take the weight of each materials. Okay, this will be regarding the batching. The next process is mixing. Mixing is nothing but mixing the all ingredients. Okay, the mixing should be ensure that the mass becomes homogeneous, uniform in color and consistency. This is very important here. Okay, method of the mixings are either it may be hand mixing or a machine mixing. Machine mixing either it may be a stationary mixers or by using a ready mix concrete. In hand mixing, this one is used for a small type, small job works. Okay, output very less output concrete is required. In that case, you are going for a hand mixing. Okay, next, in machine mixing, if you are using a stationary mixer, okay, in that machine mixing, it may be a batch mixing or a continuous mixing. In batch mixing, either you are using it for a pan mixer or a drum mixer. Okay, the drum of the size which is around a 9 cubic meters. Okay, the drum may be a tilting type or a non-tilting type. Based on the type of work, you need to use this drums. Okay, next we are using it for ready mix concrete. Okay, here ready mix concrete is poured into a truck where the drum is rotating by its horizontal axis. Okay, the drum is rotating by its horizontal axis. Okay, these are the points we discussed in last class. Moving to next class, moving to next point, that is a transporting. Okay, transportation of concrete is an important activity in the production of the concrete. The time taken in transit should be a design parameter as it is depending on a initial setting time as well as the requirement of the workability at the destinations. The method of the transportation adopted at the site should be decided in advance so that a suitable admixture can be added. Okay. If you choose a wrong mode of transportation, your concrete would be a segregate, which would be in effect make it useless. Okay. Therefore, it is essentially that adequate thought to be given to the type of transportation what we actually needed. Okay. There are many types of transportation modes. Okay, one by will discuss. That first one we will discuss about a mortar pan. Okay, this will be the mortar pan. Okay, in our India, in our country, most of this is the common method where we are using in our country. Okay, this we have a mortar pan. It is in that we are placing the concrete here. This one is the mortar pan. Okay, this is a labor-intensive method for generally used for the small work. Okay. And the most advantage of this method is there is no segregations of the concrete. Okay. The major drawback of this method is it exposes greater surface of the concrete for drying conditions, resulting in a greater loss of the surface water. There will be um, more surfaces exposed to the normal layer. Yeah, this will be the first transportation mode. Second, it will be here it is a wheel cart, wheelbarrow or a hand cart. This one is also same, use it for a ground level construction or a road constructions. Okay. If you are use it for a long distance, if the road for a transportation is very rough, then the segregations may happen if you use this type of hand carts. Okay. This is the a major disadvantage of this method. If you use the pneumatic tire means the segregations will be minimized. Okay. These are two types of methods we are using, transportation method in our country. Most of the times we are using this. Okay. Next will be bucket and rope. Okay. This work is suitable. Here it is. This is crane, okay, which will support with this bucket. Okay. This type of work or this type of transportation is suitable for a work in valley or high, more high piers, long dam sites. Excessive free falls of concrete should be avoided to minimize the segregation. Here it is. If you want to construct for a very high-rise building, for concreting for high-rise building, you are using crane and this bucket or skips you are calling as. Okay, the volume of the skips or buckets is around 0.5 cubic meter. Minimum it ranges from 0.5 cubic meters for medium scale of work. Okay, the crane it will lift the bucket along with the concrete where we need to place the concrete, and this bucket at the lower side it has a opening. Okay, when it reaches a particular place where you need to place the concrete means the lower hooper will be opened. Okay, then the concrete will start flowing into the reinforcement. Okay. Roof means it is used for a embankment purposes. Okay. Roofway is used for a river or a dam construction purposes. Next, truck mixture or a dumper. Okay. This is improved and a better method for a long or a lead concreting. If you want a for a huge concreting, in that cases you are going to use for a truck dumper or a truck mixtures. Okay. Usually the capacity of dumpers has 2 to 3 cubic meter, whereas a truck is 4 cubic meters. Okay. While transporting, a tarpaulin or other covering may be provided over the top to minimize the operation of the water from the concrete layers. Okay. Next, it will be a belt conveyor. This will be a belt conveyor. It has a limited applications due to a chance of segregations on a steep slopes or a roller points, okay, and change in the direction of the belt. It will be using a straight line they are using on a belt. The major disadvantage of this method is here it involves overexpose of the concrete to the environment. Compared to here, the concrete is totally exposed to the environment, and also some vibrations or a jerk due to a belt. This will also help to segregations. Okay. This is the most disadvantages. One is segregations, and second will be the over exposed to the concrete environment. The next one is chute. Chute is generally used for a concreting for a deep locations or a ground level. This one we are calling it as a chute piece. Care should be taken that slope should not be flatter than 1 vertical is to 2.5 horizontals. Okay. Why it is because means otherwise the concrete will not slide down. Okay. This is the slope what is required, that is 1 vertical is to 2.5 horizontal, then only the concrete will start sliding. The workability should not be changed to suit the delivery by chute. Okay. Some people what they will do for movement of concrete they will add more water, so workability should not change. Then change the directions or a slope of this one, but you should not change the workability of the concrete. Technically, it is not good method, but extensively used in this will be. So this is method for only a ground level and a below ground level. This one we are using. Okay. Next method is skip point first method. Okay, there it is. This one we are calling it as a skip, okay, which is widely used method for a high-rise structures. Okay. Concrete is fed into the skip and which is traveled vertically in a rail-like lift. Okay. The skip. This will be the rails. Okay. This one is widely adopted method for transporting concrete vertically up for multi-story building constructions. Okay. Next method is pump line method. The pump method is same as our water pumping methods. Just in water pumping method, we are going to pump the water. We are pumping the water from one place to another place. Here, we are pumping the concrete. That is most sophisticated method, particularly suitable for limited space where when a large quantity of concrete is to be poured without cold jobs. Okay. Pumping of the concrete can be done at 8 to 70 cubic meter per hour up to a horizontal distance of 300 meters and vertical distance of 90 meters. So we are pumping around 8 to 70 cubic meter per hour and a distance of 300 meters to 900 meters. 300 meters is vertical distance and 990 meters is the vertical meters. This one is very important. That pipe diameter is generally 8 to 20 centimeters. Okay, the diameter should be large because the aggregate size is also large in the concrete part. So based on that, you need to select the pipe diameter, and its diameter is the pipe is made up of either it may be steel or plastic or aluminum. Okay, the workability of pumping concrete should be a minimum of 40 to 100 mm, and slump or 0.8 mm slump or 0.9 to 0.95 compactness factor is. So this value you need to remember. The slump value should be, the workability slump value should be 40 to 100 mm, and the workability factor is 0.9 to 0.95 compactness factor. Okay. At the delivery point, workability may be reduced by 25% due to compaction, and this factor should be kept in mind designing the concrete. Okay. This one will be about pumping, and last will be the transit mixtures. This will be transit mixtures. Okay. The transit mixtures. Okay. Here, transit mixer is one of the most popular equipment for the transporting concrete over a long distance, particularly in ready-mix concrete plants. So this is used for many times they are used for ready-mix concretes. They are truck-mounted, having a capacity of 4 to 7 cubic meters. Okay, so there are two types of variations. One, mixed concrete is transported to a site by keeping it agitated along at the speed varying between 2 to 4 revolutions per minute. In other category, the concrete is batched at the center batching plant and mixing is done at the trunk mixtures either in transit or immediately prior to the discharge of the concrete. Okay, these are the transit mixtures. Okay, this becomes the transportation of the concrete. Okay, move to the next part. After transporting, first you are going to batching, next you are mixing. After mixing, you are going to transport. After transportation, you need to place. Okay, the placing of concrete. The concrete must be placed in a systematic manner to yield the optimum result. Some situations where you provide the concrete, that is placing a concrete within the earth mold, placing the concrete with a large earth mold or a timber plank from work, okay? Placing concrete in the layers with the timber or a steel structure, placing the concrete with the usual formwork, placing the concrete within the timber structure. The same is we'll discuss one by one. Where we are doing placing the concrete within the earth mold. Okay. The first method is earth mold. Here it is. This is example for this one is placing of the concrete in a foundations. Foundations, going to foundation means the concrete will come in contact with the soil or earth materials. Okay, that earth material, all loose earth material should be removed Okay, roots of trees must be cut. Okay. If the surface is dry, it should be made as a dam. You need to place some water, otherwise water from the concrete will absorb. Okay. Next, if it is too wet or soak rain soaked with soak the water, then the water must be removed. Okay, that water should not enter into the concrete piece. Okay, within the placing concrete within the earth. Second one is placing concrete in a with layers with in timber or a steel shutter. It is. Okay. Example of this one is we are placing the concrete in a layer by layer. So it is we are flatly we are placing, and that will be for footing or a foundation purpose. Here we are placing concrete layer by layer. Okay. Example of this one is the dam constructions, the mass constructions. Also, you can call it as a mass constructions. Okay. Mass construction in dam or a construction of abundant or a piers, a pile. Okay. These will be the examples. This will be the mainly depending upon the thickness of the layers. Okay, the thickness, how much you are going to that layer, how much it is, how we are going to place that one is depends mainly on the method of compaction, how we are going to compact, size of the vibrator, frequency of the vibrator, what we are going to use. We'll discuss that part. What is the vibrator and what is the frequency of the vibrator. Okay. Usually, it is good for laying 15 to 30 centimeter thick layer of concrete. Okay. For mass concrete, it may be vary from 35 to 45 centimeters. It should be the thickness. It is better to leave the top layer rough so that the succeeding layer can have a good bond between the previous layer and the next layer. Okay. This is regarding about placing concrete in a layers quickly, timber or steel, and finally secondary structure. Next will be the placing of concrete within a usual format. So for example of this one is uh, our columns, slabs, beams, the floor footing, floor slabbing. This will be the examples. Okay. Before placing the concrete, check the reinforcement are correctly tied or not. Okay. In place. Mold releasing agent should be applied. Okay. The concrete must be placed carefully with a small quantity at the time so that they will not block the entry of the subsequent concrete piece. This one is regarding usual format. The next step will be the final will be the placing of concrete underwater. There are many methods to place the concrete underwater. Underwater it is. Okay. These are the bag method, bottom pump method, the training method, grouted aggregate method, and concrete pump methods. So here it is. The most popular one is underwater concreting by the training method. The training method will be the most popular one. Okay. Here we have a funnel, and this will be the training pipe piece. So here we are going to pour the concrete to reach the bottom. This will be the water level. You can see here. You see that video how the concrete will be done in underwater. Just okay. The most widely and best method of placing concrete underwater is by use of the training method. Okay. This, the word trimming is derived from the French Cooper. It is the diameter of 3 meter. This is the diameter 3 meter, and this diameter is around 20 centimeters. Generally, the bottom end is closed with a polyethylene sheet. It is. A funnel is placed on the top of the cylinder. Alright, pipe it is 2 pipe. The entire setup is taken into the water and allowed to rest at the location where the concrete is required to be placed. As the end is flow, no penetration of water is observed in the pipe. Here it is. In water, end is placed here. The concrete with very slump values we are using it for a water concrete. So the slump is between 15 centimeter to 20 centimeter. So that concrete is filled in a funnel. When the entire length of the pipe is filled up with the concrete, the pipe is lifted up and a slightly jerk is given by winch or a pulley arrangement. It's totally filled and it will lifted. Some jerk is given. Okay, the concrete is placed up. In the concrete that we have, okay, the process is repeated up to the water level. It is. The compaction is not required because the compaction occurs due to hydrostatic pressure. This is about the placing of the concrete underwater. It is. Next, after placing, next it will be the compactions. The compaction and curing I will take into the next class.